team chose to observe the George Fox men's soccer team throughout the semester. There were a few reasons why we chose them. One of them was because we saw that the team had a very distinct culture, and we thought that it would be interesting to interpret that, learn more about them. We also saw that there was a lot of diversity across the board on the men's soccer team. Thought that would also make it more engaging. And a lot of us had some friends on the team, so we thought that would make it more feasible for us to be able to execute the project and be able to get it done. Our team actually worked on a few different cultural onions. It was about 5 of them, but we had to narrow down and pick one that we wanted to elaborate the most on. So we ended up choosing the academic and college soccer. We thought that you could definitely see the distinct culture of the men's soccer group through this cultural onion. But before we dive into the details of that, we did want to provide a precursor, and this is the 7 characteristics of an association that we talked about in class. Just a refresher, those include the function, norms, statuses, authority, symbolism, property, and membership qualification. So for the function, this is basically, what do they do? What's the purpose? When you think about a team, you think, okay, their purpose is to win the games, beat everybody else, be number one. However, we realized with the men's soccer team, it was less about winning, and it was more about bettering themselves alongside their teammates. It was about developing together and being this core unit, not just standing as an individual. So some of the things that they do, they obviously practice, they play games, they do a lot of traveling. The norms that make up this group, which is the expectations, the behaviors, and the rules. So like the other athletes at George Fox, the men's soccer team, they must all maintain a GPA of 2.0 or higher to withhold their position on the team. They are also expected to have very strong sportsmanship during practices and games. They are expected to be respectful to their teammates, coaches, professors, basically anybody they interact with. They're supposed to hold themselves to a high standard because they are, in a sense, role models here at the university representing the school when they travel. So they need to withhold that title with great regard. And they're also expected to be hardworking and to have very strong positive attitudes.
Now, by statuses, we mean the different positions that can take place on the team. So we concluded that the team captains are the leaders chosen by the team. And we found out that there were currently 3 captains on the team. One of them was a senior, one of them was a junior, and one of them was a sophomore. So as you can see, the team captains weren't chosen based on seniority. You can be any age. It doesn't matter what grade you are in. It just matters who each player felt was the best leader to kind of take charge and take that leadership role. The coach is obviously a leader, but he is more in the sense of a head figure. So the coach puts in place all of the logistics for the team, including practice times, the plays, what time to meet for the games, and whatnot. But we also found out that the captains are the ones who are kind of more in charge off the field. So they kind of put together all the team events. They had Bible studies together, and that is the things that the actual team captains put together. So the coach is more of a leader, takes that leadership status on the field, and the team captains take the leadership status off the field.
Symbolism. So the men's soccer team used certain symbols to identify themselves and associate themselves with the sport. The symbols were pretty consistent amongst the team. The symbols that we noted during our observations were the uniforms, the shin guards, the cleats, and of course, the soccer ball. Property. So the property that we found the soccer players identified and associated themselves with in relation to soccer was the stadium, the indoor and outdoor soccer fields, the George Fox gym, and the travel bus.
So for membership qualifications, it does talk a little bit about some of the norms and some of the things that are expected as far as behaviors, but it also is essential to qualifying to be a member of the team. So to be a member, you need to maintain at least a 2.0 GPO. They also have to try out. A lot of them are recruited, but even if they still have to try out just like everybody else. They're also expected to attend all practices, games, any team events, basically anything that the coach requires of them, they are expected to be there and to give their full effort. To not be a member, you obviously would do all the opposite of what I listed above. But then something that could also exclude you from the group would be if you break the lifestyle contract, if there's any other kind of disciplinary action against you, as far as and including anything against the law, things along that nature.
Now, moving on to the actual culture onion, the first step in the onion is behavior. And by behavior, it means markers about what they're about. So when these men practice, scrimmage, and travel for games, they begin to connect on a personal level. And these men, they travel to various places that can mean California, Seattle, Washington, and just various places in Oregon. And by having and spending all this time each other, the long hours on the bus and traveling to games and just practicing with each other every day, they become a closer-knit community. And what we observed and kind of could conclude from their conversations with them during the interview and just observing from them, we noticed that they don't have a whole lot of friends outside of the soccer team. Even the people that they live with are on the team, the people that they hang out and study with are on the soccer team. So from behavior, we can conclude that they are best friends on and off the field.
Moving into the next layer of the culture onion, which is authority. The social cultural authority that they do face is actually from their home countries. A lot of them are from Latin America. However, there are some also from different parts of Europe. And Latin America and Europe do place a lot of emphasis on the sport, soccer, which is naturally part of their social history. It's been in place for many, many years and is part of the social and cultural foundation of those countries. However, we did notice that the George Fox culture and like the history here has not praised soccer as much as the rest of the really the rest of the world does. Moving into ideological authority, they have a lot of self-discipline, a lot of passion. There's a lot of kind of endurance mentally that they do undergo. There is some modified or soft individualism. I mean, it's still individualism because we are still in America, but there's a big collectivistic authority ideologically that's occurring because they are focusing on developing the team aspect. They're team members because they realize that they need that strength in numbers in order to be that successful team. Economically, the authority come in different layers. So George Fox doesn't award athletic scholarships, but they do still pull together different scholarships, whether it's academic, leadership, multicultural. So money actually isn't a vital factor in playing soccer, because if it was, they would have attended a school where they could get much more money. And some of them actually could have even been paid to play soccer. Some schools may provide stipends to their athletes or other financial benefits. So this goes along back to that kind of collectivistic main authority, that goal, this ideological thing that's more than just money or financial benefits or rewards.
Experience. So we broke down experience into 3 categories: social, cultural, family, and personal. For social cultural, their home countries, Europe, Latin America, and many other places outside of the US, historically have placed a lot of emphasis on the sport. Soccer is the world's favorite sport, and even though in the US football is more popular, their diverse backgrounds have provided them with a worldview on the sport that they love to play. Family. We found that the family offered a lot of support in many different ways. Many of the players come from a family background of people that played soccer, and so their family actually got them involved in the sport. They also help pay for the specific soccer clubs, getting them to to and from games, watching games, and they offer many other forms and types of support. As far as their personal lives and their personal relationships, some favored the coaches while others didn't. Many players felt like they weren't getting enough play time, and so that kind of affected the relationship. Nevertheless, they still had a pretty good relationship with the other players on the team, and they formed many strong bonds outside of the sport itself and became personal friends with the other members of the team.
We will be concluding the culture onion with one of the most important layers in the actual culture onion, which is the core. So despite being on a losing streak and not having a lot of support from the school and the student body, the men still remain on the team, mainly because of the friendships they have built. They don't want to abandon the team. They don't want to abandon the coach. They feel like they have an obligation to one another to stay on the team and to fight until they no longer can. And one teammate even referred to his teammates as a family. So as we were observing the men's soccer team, we went to several of their games. Some of us even went to every single one home game that they had throughout the season, and there was not a lot of support from the student body and the school. The stands weren't completely filled. There was actually probably only 20, 30 people to watch the men play. So they definitely didn't have that support from the school and the student body. So we can conclude that they aren't playing to impress or kind of fulfill the school's and the other students' needs. It's for one another and the obligation they feel they have to themselves and one another and the coaches to keep on playing hard and to stay on the team. They see consistency within the team. So when everything changes around them, whether the coach may change throughout the seasons, their classes may be hard, they may lose friendships with each other inside and outside of the team, and just the various relationships they make while on the team. The actual team and being a part of the George Fox men's soccer team, that's the one thing they can count on to always be consistent.
When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag.